There's a sound that arrives before winter itself, an echo carried on cold breath, one that makes birds still their wings and makes even the bravest shepherd lean toward his fire. People say that if you hear it once, truly hear it, your life will never again belong entirely to the world of the living. My name is Elias Thorne, son of a quiet valley and a quieter father, and on the night I first heard the sound, I was 16. I believed in storms, wolves, and the ache of frostbite. I did not believe in the dead that rode the sky. Not yet. Our village, Pharaoh's Hold, lay stretched between two ridges like a child asleep between its parents. Small cottages leaned into the slopes. Stone fences traced the land in patient lines. Winters were long, but not cruel, not the way the stories warned. Stories. Always stories. Children heard them, first whispered during chores. Travelers muttered them over mugs of bitter ale. Old women shared them with needles in hand, knitting wool as if knitting protection into the shape of a shawl. They said that on certain nights when the sky sagged low enough to touch the roofs, the cavalcade passed over the world. Some called it the riders of the last breath, others the winter host, others simply the hunt. But every story agreed on one thing. It was not meant for human eyes. My father, Joran, believed none of it, not because he was brave, but because he was injured by the past in ways he never spoke aloud. He trusted the world he could touch, the heft of an axe, the warmth of a lantern, the weight of soil under his nails. Spirits were for storytellers. And yet, it was my father who made me promise never to wander the fields alone after sundown. It isn't beasts you need to fear, he would say. It's what rides the wind behind them. I thought he meant bandits, wolves, the desperate. He did not. On the night everything began, the night the dead first whisper my name, I was returning from the logging shed. Snow had softened the paths into pale ribbons. The moon was a cold coin, shivering through clouds. And the wind carried something unfamiliar. Not a howl, not a gust, a rhythm, soft at first, then unmistakable. Hoofbeats, not on the ground. Above it, I froze. Branches shivered overhead. The air thickened as though drawing breath. Frost crawled up my sleeves as if alive. And from somewhere beyond sight came the distant rise of horns, low, mournful, calling through the bones of the world. My breath left me in a rush. The stories were not just stories. I should have run, should have dropped everything and sprinted toward home, should have done what every tale demanded, fall flat, eyes closed, face hidden from the sky. Instead, I lifted my gaze. That is when I saw her, a figure on a pale horse, riding not through clouds, but through a corridor of swirling frost. Cloaked in winter's white, crowned with strands of wind-blown silver, her eyes burned with a light that did not belong to the living. She was not alone. Shapes thundered behind her, hundreds, maybe more, riders with silhouettes blurred by snow, hounds with red-hot eyes bounding through air as though the sky itself were fields. And in that impossible moment, in that frozen breath of awe, the leader slowed her horse and turned her face toward me. She saw me. She truly saw me. The world stopped. The snow hung in midair. A silence pressed against my ears like a gloved hand. Then she spoke, not aloud, inside my mind. You shouldn't see us, child of thorn and timber. My knees buckled. Cold washed through me like a tide. Her gaze was older than mountains, heavier than centuries. I tried to speak. Nothing came. Her horse stepped closer, not touching earth, not disturbing snow. And the hounds circled behind her, their breath pluming in ghostly ribbons. A door opens, she went on. One you were not meant to stand beside. Her words were not anger. They were warning. She lifted a hand gloved in frost. Light rippled across her palm. And then, something else happened. Something none of the stories had ever whispered. Another rider emerged from behind her, clad in shadow, helm split with cracks glowing faint red, armor like burned bone. His horse snorted sparks. His presence made the frost itself recoil. He looked not at her, but directly at me. That one sees us, he rasped. That is a claim. A claim? The leader stiffened. No, he is not to be taken. The dark rider's voice deepened, scraping like iron dragged through earth. All who see us are taken. The wind surged. Snow spiraled violently. The hound snarled. The leader, whoever she was, whipped her gaze toward me again. Run, child. Her tone held something I had never heard in any tale of the hunt. Fear. I didn't need to be told twice. I sprinted down the hillside, slipping, sliding, crashing through drifts. Branches clawed my coat. My lungs burned. Behind me, the sky exploded with noise. Hooves hammering, hounds baying, horns shrieking through the night. The hunt was not passing overhead anymore. It was descending. The air tore open with a scream of wind. Cold sank into my spine until I could barely move. My legs numbed. My vision blurred. At the edge of the frozen river, something slammed into the ground beside me. A hound the size of stag, white as a glacier, ears red as embers. It bared fangs carved of frost. I fell backward onto the ice. The hound leapt. From somewhere above, a horned blast shattered the moment. The hound jerked midair, snarled, and bolted away as though dragged by an unseen chain. Then the leader of the hunt appeared, her horse touching the river without breaking the ice. She extended her hand to me, not to take but to shield. Elias Thorne, she said, speaking my name like a secret long buried. You stand at the edge of two worlds. One we ride, one you live. And because you lifted your eyes, they will not forget your face. Why me? I gasped. Her expression flickered. Pity, or something older. Because your blood remembers what you do not. Before I could ask what she meant, the dark rider thundered toward us, his spear drawn and blazing like molten ice. The leader clenched her jaw. This is not the night for you to die. She struck her palm against her horse's mane. A shock wave burst outward, snow rising in a dome, ice cracking in ornate patterns. Go, she commanded. Find the iron door. The old path. Run until dawn. Where? What door? I don't. But the ice cracked beneath me. The river opened like a mouth swallowing air. And I plunged into darkness. I didn't drown. I didn't fall. I landed on soil. Warm soil. I lay gasping on a sunlit forest floor, leaves trembling above me in a breeze that smelled of summer. My breath steamed, then didn't. My frostbitten fingers tingled alive. I pushed myself up and stared. The world around me was not Pharaoh's hold. It was not the river. It was not winter. Bird song drifted through the air. Sunlight dabbed gold on moss-covered stones. A ribbon of clear water trickled nearby. It felt like waking inside a memory. How? I whispered. A voice answered from behind me. You crossed a threshold few ever find. Ispoon. An old man stood there, bearded, robed in earthen hues, leaning on a knot-twisted staff. His eyes were deep-set, bright, and impossibly ancient. You, he said, studying me with unsettling calm, were expected. I just escaped something. Something monstrous. They were in the sky. The hunt, he finished. I froze. He nodded slowly. They should not have seen you. But the past has long arms. Longer than even their riders remember. Who are you? I demanded. He gestured around us. A keeper of what remains forgotten. And lately, a witness to things waking before their time. My pulse hammered. Why did the leader help me? Because she knows who you are. He paused. Even if you do not. The forest dimmed slightly, as if clouds brushed the sun. The hunt will search, he said quietly. They always search. But you cannot hide here forever. I never asked to be part of this, I whispered. No one does. The ground trembled faintly. Not a quake. A warning. The old man's expression sharpened. They found the trail. You must learn why they want you before they reach you again. He raised his staff and pointed toward a path winding deeper into the woods. Darker, older, lined with stones carved with spiral sigils. Follow the path. It will take you to the iron door. My breath caught. The leader had said the same. What's beyond it? Truth, he said, and a choice. I hesitated. Will I survive it? He smiled sadly. Survival is not the same as returning home. The forest shivered. A cold wind seeped between the trees, utterly wrong for summer. Far away, yet too near, faint horn calls rippled through the warm air. The hunt was coming. I looked at the path, at the old man. at the trembling leaves. I didn't know who I truly was. I didn't know why the leader protected me. I didn't know why the Dark Rider wanted to claim me. But I knew one thing. Running without answers would only delay the truth. I stepped toward the path. And so began my journey into old secrets, older dangers, and a winter that hunts the living. Some paths don't begin when you place your foot upon them. They begin long before, in promises you never heard and choices made by people you never knew. And as I stepped into the shadowed wood, I realized the path I followed had been waiting for me far longer than I'd lived. The old man's warning echoed behind me with every breath. Find the iron door. Learn why they hunt you. The warm forest darkened the deeper I walked. Sunlight thinned. The air cooled. And somewhere behind me, faint but growing, horns called through worlds. The hunt was crossing over. The path sloped downward into a hollow. Stones flanked the trail, tall, ancient, carved with spirals, lines, and sigils that felt like eyes. Moss hung from branches like old stories refusing to die. I moved carefully, though the forest floor seemed to shift beneath my boots, rising and falling like breath. Birdsong faded. Wind stilled. A hush settled around me. Unnatural, watchful. After a time, the trees opened into a clearing, a round, perfect circle of earth, as if the forest were kneeling around something sacred. In its center stood a structure so strange my heart stumbled in my chest. The iron door. It wasn't attached to any wall. It stood alone, freestanding, embedded in a slab of stone like a doorway uprooted from another world. Dark metal, veined with frost, etched in patterns that moved like trapped smoke. I stepped closer. The metal thrummed. Not a vibration, a pulse like the slow heartbeat of something asleep inside. The moment I reached out to touch it, a voice rasped behind me. "Careful, boy. Doors give as much as they take." I whipped around. The old man had followed me without sound, standing with his staff pressed lightly into the earth. "You said to come here," I said, breathless. I did, but the door responds to blood, not intent. And some blood wakes it violently. I swallowed hard. "What do you mean it responds to blood?" He approached and looked at the sigils. This door was forged to bind something, not shelter it. It knows the lineage of those it was made for. I'm not from any lineage. I laughed nervously. My father is a woodsman. My mother died when I was born. The man's gaze softened. "And what did he tell you about her?" "Nothing," I said. The truth tasted sharp. He never spoke of her. "That," the old man murmured, "is its own kind of story." Before I could ask more, the ground trembled. Not the soft warning from earlier. This was deeper, closer. The old man stiffened. "They are breaching the threshold. You've little time." My pulse quickened. "What am I supposed to do?" "Open it. That is not a door you open. It is a door you survive." The clearing darkened. Frost formed at the edges of the stones. The hunt was nearly upon us. I backed away from the door. "If I go through, can they follow?" His answer came slow, grim. "They can follow anywhere the wind blows." Then, he looked at me with something between sorrow and hope. "But they cannot follow into what the door was built to bind." Something thundered overhead. Laughter, cruel and cold. I had no choice. A horn blast shattered the clearing. Ice exploded outward as riders tore through reality's seams. Frost storms spiraled in their wake. Hounds leapt between trees. And at their head, the Dark Rider, spears sparking, helm cracked, eyes burning like dying stars. He pointed at me. "There, the boy. The claim is mine." The old man moved in front of me, raising his staff. "He is not your prey." The Dark Rider's hound-like laugh rolled like thunder. "All who gaze upon us belong to the hunt." The leader of the hunt descended second, her pale horse touching ground in silence, her presence part storm, part sorrow. She locked eyes with the Dark Rider. "This is not your night. You do not command me. I lead this host. Yet you are blind to fate." Their horses circled. Sparks of frost and embers clashed in the air. The old man whispered urgently, "Touch the door." "What? Now? You will not survive them here." A hound lunged. I dodged. I skimmed my cheek. My fingers brushed the cold metal. The door pulsed. Symbols flared white hot. The iron groaned like a waking beast. The dark rider roared, "Do not let him enter." The leader of the hunt thrust her hand toward the dark rider, unleashing a wave of blinding frost. He countered with a twist of his spear, breaking the air like glass. They clashed with celestial fury. Wind screamed, shadows cracked, snow spiraled from nowhere. The old man shoved me toward the door. "You must learn what sleeps within that metal. Your life depends on it. Our world depends on it. What is inside?" He hesitated, just for breath. "Then, the truth about your mother." My heart clenched. The forest spun, but there was no time. The dark rider broke through the frost blast and charged toward me. His spear split the earth, carving a trench of ice. The old man slammed his staff down. Roots erupted, weaving a barrier around us. "Geo," he shouted. I pressed both palms to the door. The metal ignited with cold fire. Symbols spiraled outward in patterns I somehow recognized, though I'd never seen them. They felt like lullabies forgotten, whispered in a bone. The door inhaled. Light swallowed my vision, and I was pulled through. I landed on stone. Not ground. Not forest. A vast chamber stretched into darkness, lit by veins of pale blue light pulsing in the walls like circuits carved from ice. Giant pillars rose like frozen rib bones. Mist curled along the floor. This place wasn't natural. It wasn't even alive in the way forests are alive. It felt crafted, built, forged with purpose. At the far end of the chamber was a pedestal. Upon it rested a small object wrapped in silver cloth. A cradle. My breath faltered. Footsteps echoed, slow, deliberate, coming from somewhere deep inside the chamber. I wasn't alone. A woman appeared from the shadows. Not a rider, not a ghost, but flesh and blood. Her hair was midnight. Her cloak shimmered with feathers like raven wings. Her eyes were the same cold fire as the leader of the hunt. She stopped a few paces away and studied me. "So," she whispered, "you finally returned. Who are you?" I asked, voice trembling. She approached with painful calm. "I am Aloran, keeper of this vault, guardian of the one secret the hunt fears above all others." "And what does that have to do with me?" She nodded toward the cradle. "Everything." I stepped closer. My hand shook as I pulled the cloth aside. Inside was not a baby. It was a mask, carved of metal that glowed faintly from within, etched with patterns matching the door. Its shape was elegant, ancient, meant for a face not quite human. Malorin's voice softened. "That is the mask your mother wore." My world stopped. "My what?" She touched the mask with reverence. "Your mother, Lyandra, was no mortal. She was once the right hand of the winter host, a rider of the hunt." I staggered back. "No, that's impossible. My father would have told me." "Your father never knew." Her words struck like thunder. Malorin continued, each word deliberate. "Lyandra left the hunt for love, a love forbidden by the dark rider you saw. When she bore you, the hunt marked you. Your existence broke ancient rules." I shook my head. "This isn't real. Your mother died protecting you," Malorin said softly. "She sealed her mask here, locking away the power that tied you to the hunt." The chamber dimmed. Veins of blue pulsed harder. "You are half mortal," she said, "and half of the host." I felt sick, cold, weightless. "No," you whispered. "I'm just a woodsman's son." "You are more," Malorin said. "Much more." Her eyes sharpened. "And now the hunt wants you back." A blast struck the outside of the door, distant but close enough to shake dust from the vault's ceiling. "They're coming," Malorin said. "The Dark Rider wants to finish what was started the night your mother fell." I clenched my fists. "Why? Why does he want me?" Malorin met my eyes. "Because you're the heir to a power he cannot claim. And if you awaken it, he cannot lead the hunt." Thunder cracked again above the vault. The iron screamed under assault. "You have little time," she said urgently. "Take the mask." "I'm not wearing that." "You must." "No." My voice echoed. "I don't want their power. I don't want to be part of this." Malorin's expression shifted, stern, desperate. "Elias, if he reaches you before you claim what is yours, he will force the hunt into your blood, twisting you into a weapon of winter." Another blast. The vault trembled. "Please," she said, "choose now. I looked at the mask, cold, ancient, heavy with a destiny I didn't ask for. But outside, the hunt tore through worlds to claim me. I sucked in a breath and reached for the mask. The moment my fingers touched it, cold wind surged through the chamber. Symbols flared across the iron door. The vault pulsed with awakening energy. Far above, the hunt roared. Behind me, Maloran whispered, "It has begun." My vision blurred, my heartbeat quickened, and the mask glowed like a rising winter star. The Dark Rider was coming, and now he would not stop. The mask is in my hands, the hunt is breaking through, and my mother's secret is no longer buried. Some choices feel like stepping into a river, cold, shocking, irreversible. Others feel like stepping off a cliff. When my fingers closed around my mother's mask, I understood it was both. The vault shuddered as the winter hunt tore at the iron door. Their howls leaked through cracks in the metal. Frost crept across the stone floor like a living thing. And in my hands, the mask pulsed, waiting, calling, promising. If I put on, I embraced a destiny that terrified me. If I didn't, the hunt would claim me and use me as their weapon. I had seconds to choose. The chamber's glowing veins dimmed, as if holding its breath. Maloran stepped closer, cloak rustling like raven feathers. "Elias," she said, voice taut, "the mask will not change who you are. It will reveal what you already carry." "That's exactly what I'm afraid of," I whispered. "You fear becoming like them?" "I fear." Words knotted in my throat. "I fear losing myself." "You will." Her honesty cut me, but only to find who you were meant to be. A thunderous impact shook the vault. The iron door cracked, spraying shards of frost across the room. The Dark Rider's voice thundered through the split metal. "You cannot hide the boy from his fate." Maloran grabbed my wrist. "Elias, listen. The hunt's power is born from winter's memory. Your mother was its greatest rider. Her blood shields you. But only the mask can unlock the truth she buried." I swallowed. "What truth?" Her eyes softened, painfully. "The truth of why she died." My chest tightened. "What happened to her?" Another blast. The door screamed. Maloran's voice dropped to a whisper. "She died because she chose you over eternity." I stared at the mask. Cold, beautiful, terrifying. Every instinct shouted run. My heart whispered learn. And outside, the hunt roared claim. I lifted the mask toward my face and hesitated. "I can't," I said, shaking. "I'm not her. I'm not." "You are her son," Maloran said firmly. "And that is enough." Her voice steadied me. Just enough. I drew a breath that chilled my lungs and pressed the mask to my skin. The world exploded. Cold fire surged through my veins. Light ripped across the chamber. The ground buckled beneath me. Symbols blazed across the vault like 1,000 eyes awakening. I cried out, but my voice fractured, splitting into echoes that didn't belong to me. The mask fused to my face like it had been waiting for me for years. Maloran shouted over the storm of energy. "Hold on to yourself. The mask will search your blood for memory. If you resist, it will tear you apart." I'm trying. Pain lanced through me, sharp, ancient, almost intelligent. Frost crawled up my arms, carving runic lines along my skin. My heartbeat slowed, then accelerated, then became something wild, something that did not feel fully human. A force pressed into my mind, cold, vast, infinite. A memory. No, a vision. I stumbled backward as the chamber blurred, and suddenly I wasn't in the vault anymore. I stood on a frozen cliff under a storm-shredded sky. Snowstorms raged around me. Horns roared across the clouds. And at the center of it all, a woman wielding a spear of living frost. My mother, Lyandra. She was battling the Dark Rider. Not as a legend, not as a myth, as a mother fighting for her child. Their weapons clashed in bursts of ice and ember. Each strike cracked mountains. Hounds circled. Riders soared. The sky bled winter. My mother's voice carried on the wind, sharp as a blade. "You will not have him," the Dark Rider snarled. "You broke the oath. You betrayed the host. The child is ours by ancient right." "He is not yours," she spat. "He will never be. You cannot outrun the hunt." "I don't need to outrun it." She threw her spear with a cry that pierced the storm. The vision shattered into shards of light. Another memory slammed into me. My mother, cloaked, running through a forest, clutching a small bundle me. Her breath ragged, her face streaked with frost and blood. Behind her, the hunt thundered with terrible fury. She reached the iron door. The same vault, the same chamber. She placed her mask on the pedestal, whispered a spell of sealing. Then, she kissed my forehead. Tears slid down my cheeks, hers and mine. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "but you must live free of this." A final blast tore through the forest behind her. Shadow and ice collapsed upon her. A spear of ember pierced her back. Her last cry was my name, though my infant ears could not understand it. The vision broke. I collapsed to my knees in the vault. Maelorn was there, kneeling beside me. "You saw," she whispered. "I saw her die, and now you understand why the hunt will not give up. Your mother shattered their code, and you are the living proof." My hands trembled violently. Frost radiated from my fingers. "I won't become what they want," I said through clenched teeth. "You might not have a choice. The mask has awakened your heritage. The hunt will feel you now." As if on cue, the vault shook violently. The iron door exploded inward. Riders poured through in a storm of frost. At their head, the Dark Rider. His eyes burned brighter than any flame. He raised a spear. "Child of betrayal," he growled. "Your blood is mine." Maelorn stepped in front of me, staff raised. "You will not touch him." The Dark Rider laughed, a sound like cracking glaciers. "You think your old spells can shield him? He wears the mask now. His fate is sealed. Not by you." He yanked his reins. His horse reared, hooves sparking with frozen lightning. "He belongs to the host," he snarled. Then his gaze locked onto me, and something shifted. Not in him, in me. The mask's power surged. Frost spiraled from my skin. My vision sharpened into impossible clarity. I felt the hunt, felt their breath, felt their hunger, felt the winter inside their bones. And for a heartbeat, they felt me. The riders recoiled. Hounds whimpered. Even the Dark Rider stiffened. He whispered, "You are stronger than she was." Maelorn gripped my arm. "Don't listen. Don't let his voice inside your mind." But it was too late. The Dark Rider extended a hand, glowing with ember cracks. "Elias, you are one of us. Half mortal, half eternal. You were born to lead us." "No," Maelorn shouted. A blast erupted from her staff, shards of shimmering feathers swirling through the vault. The Dark Rider deflected it effortlessly. Hounds lunged. Riders surged. Frost filled the chamber. I tried to stand, but winter raged inside me, pulling me in two directions. Half of me wanted to run. Half of me wanted to rise. Half of me wanted to be mortal. Half wanted to answer the hunt's ancient call. And then, the mask spoke. Not in words. In instinct. In truth. "Get up." Cold electricity surged through my muscles. My legs steadied. My breath slowed. My heart matched the rhythm of hooves in the sky. I rose. Maelorn gasped softly. "Elias?" The Dark Rider smiled behind his cracked helm. "Yes," he crooned. "Awaken." The vault trembled so violently that cracks spiderwebbed across the pillars. Maelorn screamed over the chaos. "Elias, if you give in now, you will lose yourself forever." She threw herself in front of me, just as the Dark Rider hurled his spear. It streaked through the air like burning ice. Unstoppable, aimed directly at me. I didn't think, didn't choose. My hand flew out, and I caught the spear, not with strength, with frost. The spear froze solid in my grip, cracking under the sudden burst of ancient cold. The entire vault fell silent. The hunt stared. Even the Dark Rider went still. My voice echoed through the chamber, changed, layered, threaded with winter. "Leave me alone." Frost exploded outward from where I stood, a shock wave of icy force. Riders were hurled backward. Hounds skidded into pillars. The Dark Rider slammed into the cracked iron door. The entire cavern shuddered. But even as they fell, they smiled, not in defeat, in recognition. The Dark Rider pulled himself to his feet, eyes blazing. "Now," he growled, "you see what you are." I still radiated from my skin. The spear lay shattered. The vault trembled under the force I had unleashed. Maelorn's hand clasped my shoulder, her voice shaking. Elias, you cannot stay here. The mask's power is rising too quickly. If they pin you in this vault, they will turn you. She gestured toward a second passage, a dark tunnel descending deeper into the earth. Down there lies the one thing the hunt fears, the only force that can break their claim on you. What is it? I asked. Her eyes glinted with something ancient. The heart of winter. Behind us, the hunt regrouped. Horns roared. Frost surged. The dark rider raised his broken spear. I stepped toward the passage. I didn't know what waited inside. I didn't know if I'd survive it. But I knew one thing. I would not be the hunt's weapon. Not now. Not ever. The vault is collapsing. The hunt is rising. And I'm descending toward the heart of winter. Some truths don't wait for you to be ready. They arrive like winter storms, sudden, merciless, reshaping everything you are. And as I descended into the depths beneath the vault, I understood, whatever the heart of winter was, it would change me forever. The stone steps spiraled downward into darkness. Behind me, the hunt smashed through the vault, their roars echoing like thunder. Ahead of me, a cold radiance pulsed, steady, ancient, calling my blood by name. The mask fused and my face tightened, as if urging me forward. And so I descended into the oldest secret ever carved beneath the world. The staircase ended at a cavern so vast it felt like the belly of the earth. Frost-coated pillars rose like frozen giants. The air shimmered with drifting particles of snow that never melted or fell. At the center of the cavern floated a sphere of crystalline ice, suspended in chains of glowing runes. The heart of winter. It pulsed like a living organ. Thud, thud, thud. Each pulse sent tremors through my bones, awakening something buried deep inside me. Something old, something powerful, something dangerous. Maelorn appeared behind me, breath ragged from running. You must be quick, she warned. The heart responds to lineage, your lineage. It will hear you, but it may not obey you. What is it really? I asked. She stepped beside me, eyes locked on the swirling core. It is the first winter, she whispered. The source of the hunt's power. A remnant of the world before mortals walked it. Your mother was bound to this power. And now, so are you. A tremor shook the cavern. Maelorn stiffened. They're nearly through. I swallowed hard. What do I have to do? You must claim the heart, she said. Touch it before the hunt reaches you. If you do, the bond they hold over you will break. And if I fail, she met my eyes, pain flickering through hers. Then the hunt will own you completely, and the world will face a winter it cannot survive. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Everything inside me screamed no. But my feet moved anyway. I reached toward the heart. The moment my fingers neared it, a force blasted outward, an arctic gale that threw me across the cavern. I slammed into the ice, breath knocked from my lungs. The heart boomed again, angry, ancient. Maelorn sprinted to me. It senses your conflict. The hunt's blood inside you fights the mortal half. You must choose who you are before it allows you to touch it. I have chosen. Your blood disagrees. Above us, the cavern roof cracked. Frost rained down. Then, the hunt arrived. Riders burst through the shattered vault corridor, horns screaming, hounds bounding across the ice. At their head, spear blazing with ember fractures. The Dark Rider. His voice rolled like thunder. Do not let him touch it. Riders charged toward me. Maelorn leapt between us, her staff erupting in black feathered magic. A barrier of shimmering ravens formed around me. Elias, she cried, search your heart. Why do you fear your own power? Because I knew exactly what frightened me. Because, I whispered, if I touch that heart, I'll become what my mother was. A rider smashed against the raven shield. Cracks spiderwebbed through the magic. And what? Maelorn shouted over the chaos. Was your mother, truly? I forced myself to speak. She was powerful, terrifying, more winter than human. And yet she chose love over eternity. Does that sound terrifying to you? My breath hitched. Another rider slammed the barrier. More cracks formed. You are what she hoped for, Maelorn said. Not what the hunt demands. If you face the heart with fear, it will reject you. If you face it with truth, it will accept you. Truth. My truth. The one I'd refuse to say aloud. I didn't fear becoming powerful. I feared becoming like him. The Dark Rider stepped forward, helm glowing. So, you understand, child. His voice slithered toward me. You are nothing but a fragment of us. A broken shard of winter. Your mother was a fool, and you will complete what she fled. No, you whispered. You cannot run from your blood. No, you are ours. My heartbeat roared like a storm. No. The mask ignited with frostlight. I surged to my feet, the cloak of winter energy swirling around me. The raven shield shattered outward, not breaking, but exploding in a wave of icy feathers that knocked the nearest riders across the cavern. Every hound whimpered. Every rider stiffened. Even the Dark Rider leaned back. I stepped toward the heart, not as prey, not as a child, but as the heir my mother protected. The heart pulsed faster, responding to me. Thud, 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 thud. I lifted my hand again. This time, the cold didn't push me away. It pulled me in. Memories flooded me. My mother's laughter, her strength, her sacrifice. The night she died, the day I was born, the moment she sealed her mask and whispered, "Live free." My fingers touched the heart. The cavern vanished. I was standing in a void of drifting snow. Weightless, timeless. A voice rose from the blizzard, deep, ancient, genderless. Child of frost and flesh, why do you seek me? My throat tightened. To break their claim. Why? Because I choose my own fate. You fear the cold within you. Yes. You fear becoming Hunt. Yes. You fear your mother's legacy. Yes. Snow swirled faster. Then answer this, what is winter to you? I searched my mind. Not for myths. Not for fear. For truth. Winter is harsh. I whispered. It kills. It takes. But also preserves. Protects. Purifies. It makes way for new life. Silence. Then, a mortal's answer. Snow stilled. And a true one. A surge of energy slammed through me. Cold, infinite but not cruel. The heart accepted me. The void shattered. I stood again in the cavern, hand pressed to the heart. Ice spiraled around me in towering arcs. Runes lit the floor in blinding patterns. The hunt froze where they stood. The Dark Rider roared in fury. No, he is mine. He rushed toward me, spear raised high. But the heart unleashed a force so immense that the cavern walls bent outward. A shockwave of ancient winter blasted through the chamber. Riders were thrown like straw. Hounds dissolved into frost. Maelorn shielded her face. Only the Dark Rider managed to stay upright, barely. His helm cracked open fully, revealing a face of burning embers and ice scars. His voice was a wounded howl. You cannot deny what you are. My voice echoed with winter's resonance. I am not yours. You carry our blood. And my mother's heart. You are destined to lead us. I choose my own destiny. The heart flared violently. Winter energy surged through my arms, through the mask, through every vein. My feet lifted from the ground. Light spilled from my eyes. For the first time, the Dark Rider looked afraid. I lifted my hand. Ice formed around him. Not as frost, but as chains woven from pure winter memory. They wrapped around his arms, his legs, his throat. He screamed. The cavern shook. The pillars cracked. The riders fled. The Dark Rider clawed at the chains. You cannot bind me. I am eternal. No, I said. You are done. With a final pulse from the heart, the chains snapped tight, and the Dark Rider shattered into a storm of snow and ember. The cavern fell silent. The winter energy slowly faded from my body. Ice drifted from my skin like harmless snow. The mask loosened its grip. My legs touched the ground again. Maelorn approached me carefully, as if approaching a newly risen star. It is done, she whispered. But I shook my head. No, the hunt. Unbound, she said. Leaderless. Scattered. Without you or the Dark Rider, they cannot take form again for centuries. I stared at the heart. No longer glowing, resting like a sleeping moon. What happens now? You live, she said simply, as her mother wanted. I removed the mask. For the first time, it felt light. Maelorn placed a hand over her heart. She would be proud of you. I swallowed, emotions threatening to overwhelm me. I want to see my father. You will. She smiled, a rare, tired smile. You broke the oldest winter. The world will feel that. And you. I will guard what remains until you return. I'm not coming back, I said. She tilted her head. No one outruns destiny forever. Not even you. I didn't understand her meaning then. Maybe I still don't. But I knew one thing. The hunt was gone. The heart was quiet. And I was free. For the first time in my life. The winter inside me was mine. The wild hunt. Myth, history, and its modern cultural impact. Across the winter skies of northern Europe, people once believed a terrifying procession thundered through the clouds at night. A host of ghostly riders led by ancient gods, cursed kings, or the restless dead. This supernatural event was known by many names. The Wild Hunt, the Furious Host, the Ghostly Cavalcade, Asgartrian, Herla's Host, Woden's Ride, or simply the Hunt. And while centuries have passed since the first stories of it were whispered beside fires, the Wild Hunt has refused to fade. Instead, it has evolved, adapted, and resurfaced in modern games, books, films, comics, and music, proving that myths never really die. They just change writers. Today, the Wild Hunt survives, not only in folklore textbooks, but in some of the most popular stories of our time. This is the story of the hunt, where it came from, what it meant, and how it became one of the most influential supernatural myths in modern culture. The earliest roots of the Wild Hunt come from Norse and Germanic mythology, traditions that feared the dark months of winter as a time when the boundary between the living and the dead thinned. Origins in Northern Europe. Most folklorists agree that the hunt began as a story about Woden, Odin, the Norse Allfather, leading a spectral army across the sky. Odin was already associated with war, death, and prophecy, so the image of him riding through the night on his eight-legged horse Sleipnir felt intensely real to people living in harsh winters. The Wild Hunt was usually seen as a warning of war, plague, or famine, a procession that collected the souls of the dead, a punishment for oath breakers, a marker of the winter solstice, a moment when spirits roamed freely. In Germany, the leader was often Wotan. In England, Herne the Hunter or King Arthur. In Scandinavia, Odin or Loki. And in Iceland, the Valkyries. What it looked like? Descriptions vary, but almost all cultures described. Horses galloping through clouds. Red-eyed hounds. Bows or spears glowing like lightning. A chilling wind arriving moments before the hunt. Whispers of the dead riding in its wake. Those who saw it risked. Being kidnapped. Being forced to join the host. Being cursed. Or simply dying from terror. It wasn't just a ghost story. It was a warning woven into the rhythm of winter. The eerie idea of spectral riders spread rapidly, transforming as it crossed borders. In Scandinavia, the hunt appears as Asgartrian, a ghostly army led by Odin or sometimes Lussi, a terrifying female spirit who punished households unprepared for winter. In England, the legend transformed into Herne the Hunter, the ghost of a forester with antlers on his head, haunting Windsor Forest. Sometimes the leader was King Arthur, returning from Avalon with ghostly knights. In Wales, the hunt became CWN and the Hounds of the Underworld. These dogs were white with red ears, a symbol of being not of this world. In Germany, the hunt was often led by Wotan, Perkta, or Frau Holly, a cursed nobleman who must ride forever. This is where many modern depictions, especially The Witcher, draw their inspiration. In Ireland, connections appear with the Slew, a host of the unforgiven dead who swept across the skies to snatch souls. For ancient people, the hunt represented the brutality of winter, the unpredictability of nature, the fear of being forgotten, the belief that the dead were never far away. It was a story shaped by harsh climates, long dark nights, pagan spiritual beliefs, anxiety about omens and fate. But what makes the Wild Hunt truly unique is how adaptable the myth is. It can be a band of gods, a procession of ghosts, a troop of elves, a demonic cavalry, even a cosmic or interdimensional army. This adaptability is exactly why the myth thrives in modern storytelling. Now we enter the part most people recognize, how the myth exploded into books, video games, movies, music, and pop culture. And no modern work popularized it more than The Witcher. If you ask the average fan today what the Wild Hunt is, they'll likely think of the spectral, armored riders from The Witcher 3. Wild Hunt. CD Projekt Red's adaptation reimagines the hunt as interdimensional Elven slavers from another sphere, led by the fearsome Aridin Breakglass, riding between worlds during the conjunction of the spheres. This version blends Norse mythology, Slavic folklore, high fantasy, science fiction. The Witcher's Wild Hunt became iconic for their bone-like armor, their glowing blue energy, their apocalyptic presence, their symbolic connection to fate. They appear in The Witcher novels by Andrzej Sapkowski, The Witcher 3 video game, the Netflix series, referenced as the Spectral Riders chasing Ciri, comics and expansions. This one franchise alone introduced tens of millions of people to the legend. But the hunt's influence doesn't stop there. Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. Skyrim includes the Hounding Host, the ghostly riders during storms. Art inspired by Odin's winter hunt. Though not named directly, the influence is unmistakable. God of War, 2018, and Ragnarok. Norse mythology is woven into the story, and while the Wild Hunt isn't explicitly shown, its imagery, spectral riders, violent winter storms, and Odin's ravens, influences the atmosphere. Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga, uses Wild Hunt-inspired imagery of spectral forces tied to trauma and fate. World of Warcraft features the Houndmaster, the Riders of the Frozen Wastes, events referencing the Sky Riders of Norse myth. The hunt appears in dozens of skins, raids, and expansions. Assassin's Creed Valhalla includes a full Wild Hunt questline rooted in Norse folklore. The Witcher series. We've already mentioned them, but the hunt serves as the central threat behind the scenes of Season 2 and the finale of Season 3. BBC's Merlin features an arc called The Ghostly Hunt, riders who chase souls through the forest. Supernatural TV show. A version of the hunt appears as a destructive force connected to omens of doom. American Gods, Neil Gaiman. Odin, as Mr. Wednesday, makes references to his role in ghostly processions. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. A supernatural rider event with spectral hunters pays homage to Wild Hunt myth. The hunt appears in works by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Nazgul echo their imagery. C.S. Lewis. The Horse and His Boy references spectral riders. Alan Garner. H.P. Lovecraft's supernatural riders. Neil Gaiman's Sandman. The King Arthur legends. The Mabinogion. Modern fantasy novels like The Iron Fae, Raven's Shadow, and Shadow of the Gods. Authors use the hunt as a warning of coming doom, a sign of prophecy, a symbol of fate, a supernatural army, a liminal moment when worlds meet. Because the archetype is so flexible, writers keep returning to it. The myth has inspired heavy metal, black metal, folk metal, dark ambient music, classical compositions. Bands who reference the hunt include Amon Amarth, Powerwolf, Bathory, Wardrina, Heilung, Kvelertak. Themes often include Odin as the rider, storm-filled skies, the terrifying host, fate and death, war and prophecy. Modern pagan musicians often perform songs invoking the hunt during the winter solstice. Dungeons & Dragons includes the Feywild's Spectral Riders, hunts led by Archfey, several modules using the Wild Hunt as the supernatural antagonist. Their versions often emphasize trickster spirits, exile gods, curses, unseelie courts. Pathfinder features the Wendigo Hunt, the Eternal Riders, hunt-themed winter events. These TTRPGs help bring the myth into modern fantasy gaming culture. The Wild Hunt is significant in Norse pagan revival, Heat Henry, Wicca, modern witchcraft, Druidry. Practitioners interpret the hunt as a procession during Yule, a moment where ancestors walk the earth, a symbol of seasonal transition, a test of spiritual courage. Some modern rituals include honoring Odin or the ancestors, lighting fires to guide the riders away, celebrating renewal after winter. The myth's survival in religion shows how deeply it resonates as a symbol of change. Why does a 1,000-year-old myth still captivate us? Reason 1. It represents the fear of the unknown. Storms, winter, death, the sky at night. All these primal fears shaped the hunt. Reason 2. It symbolizes fate and destiny. A force you cannot outrun. A destiny written before birth. A supernatural test. Modern stories, especially The Witcher, use this theme heavily. Reason 3. It's cinematic and visual. Armored riders, ghostly hounds, storm-filled skies. It's perfect for video games and fantasy art. Reason 4. It's flexible. It can be a cosmic army, a supernatural omen, a demonic threat, a divine procession, a psychological symbol, a metaphor for winter, trauma, or transition. Creators can adapt it to nearly any story. Reason 5. The Wild Hunt bridges ancient and modern worlds. It connects our ancestors' fears with our modern storytelling obsessions. Apocalyptic armies, interdimensional threats, ghostly worlds, chosen heroes, prophecies. No myth blends past and present as seamlessly as the Wild Hunt. Today, the Wild Hunt lives in video games played by hundreds of millions, Netflix series, blockbuster fantasy, books and comics, songs and concerts, pagan rituals, Halloween and Yule imagery, online art and mythology communities. It has become a symbol of winter, fate, transformation, death and rebirth, the thin line between worlds. And in a strange way, the myth has come full circle. Ancient Europeans once looked to the night sky and imagined riders tearing across the clouds. And today, millions load up The Witcher 3, ride into a storm on Roach, and hear the chilling cry. The Wild Hunt is near. The story is still alive. It still rides. It still haunts the world. And perhaps, on the next winter night, when the wind howls just right and the trees shake under invisible hooves, you might hear echoes of the ancient host, and you'll know the Wild Hunt has never truly ended. It has simply changed its mask.